Hello and welcome to a rather different motorcycle review video. Apologies for the time it's taken to get this out, and I'll explain why it's a little bit different in a tick. But first, as always, it's got to be time for a beer. Right, let's crack that one open. Just have a little sip. Here we go, cheers. Oh, cracking IPA that. It's dry, bitter, hoppy, and even better, it doesn't taste like shampoo or soap. You know, I like some horrendous concoction of lager mixed with lilt. Recommended, Loch Lomond Brewery, go and get some. Right, okay, right, back to the Guzzi. So why is this video different? Well, since the last review, which was the 500 mile review, I've not had chance to ride the V7 very much, unfortunately. Now, I've had the first service completed down at the fabulous Motec in Newcastle. I've sampled a little bit more of the extra power, which is most welcome, I might add. But in total, I've only completed 837 miles on the bike. Which, while that is a bit rubbish, I do think I've got a relatively good excuse, and it's not the weather. Therefore, in this hour of need, I've reached out to the rather fabulous YouTube community of fellow Guzzi and V7 owners for their own opinions of their bikes, and I'll be reading out a summary of the comments immediately after this. That will be followed by me hopping into the garage for the first time in months and taking a look at my own bike. Now, it's highly unlikely, but just a warning, I may get somewhat emotional at that point. All of that will be accompanied by some nice footage of my own bike, although for various reasons, I don't have any riding shots, I'm afraid. Anyway, hopefully that works, and before I move on to the contributor comments, I'd just like to thank everyone who has contributed to this video, everyone who has sent messages of support in, and of course, anyone that likes a damn fine biscuit. Okay, catch you later and roll the comments. Okay, first up we have Graham Wall. Now, Graham has owned loads of bikes, probably over 150 at the last count, including such iconic models as the Ducati 851, so he's very, very lucky. And now he has a V7 850 Centenario. What does Graham say about it? Well, the Guzzi is the tonic he's been looking for. He describes it as being charming and charismatic, and it just feels really special. So it's a bit like a vintage bike, but with more modern power, reliability and performance. As he says, it feels like a good old-fashioned bloke's bike, and that's what he loves about it. Okay, moving now over to Ben, who lives over in Switzerland. So Ben's got a V7 850. He's got a set of Mistral pipes set to it. And he's done over 17,000 kilometres. Now, Ben has written at length about his bike, and I'm going to include those in a blog. But the main things he likes about it, the sounds and the looks, are a big part of the owning experience. And the claim of the V7 being a universally gorgeous motorcycle is a claim which he has yet to find anyone to dispute. Along the way, he's had a few loose bolts, but no major problems. So, as I say, Ben's full write-up will be included in the blog. Next up, we have Gwen Pettigrew. She's got a V7 850 Stone and has done over 13,000 miles in it in all sorts of weather. Now, Gwen previously had a V7 Mark III and really hasn't looked back since getting the 850. She reckons the handling of the 850 is way better than the previous bike, and I sort of would agree with that, and the increased power is very useful. Gwen has also done some pretty big rides, so Scotland to South Wales with absolutely no problems, and despite riding through the UK winter, she's had very few corrosion issues. Oh, and she reckons the headlight is amazing. Thanks, Gwen. Okay, next up is Guzzi Man. So Guzzi Man has a V7 Mark III Stone. It's a lovely yellow one and it's all stock. Now, Guzzi Man has ridden the 850 as well, but feels that the Mark III has a soul and a feel that the 850 just doesn't replicate. It's not a big difference and it's a bit difficult to explain, but for Guzzi Man, the Mark III is definitely the one that gives him a big, deep down smile every time he rides it. Guzzi Man, we get it. Okay, who's next? Right, we have Wilhelm, who's got a 2011 V7 Anniversario. So that would have been the 90-year Anniversario model, I think. So for Wilhelm, it's all about the feeling of the engine. So he's a big 2-cylinder engine fan, and he just loves the low-frequency shake of the motor, which makes the bike feel alive. Wilhelm also just likes, seeing a proper old-fashioned engine, seeing the cylinders with fins, no plastic, no water cooling. And then there's the classic looks of the bike, and it's a bike that just fits his cruising style perfectly, which is all about the countryside and driving down small roads and small bends. Thanks, Wilhelm. Okay, who's next? Well, we're off to Milton Keynes now, so this is Hugh, and Hugh has a rather fine Grisiau. And on why he rides a Guzzi, Hugh says that even now its beauty still knocks him dead. It's different, and it's a very rare sight on the roads. Plus, since his first bike, which was a Gilera moped, back in the days when everything was black and white, he's been hooked on the soul, charisma and style of Italian bikes. Now, I do have to cut it short here, as Hugh then starts to get a bit excited and starts talking about torque monsters purring away beneath you. So we get it, Hugh. Cold shower time. Thanks, Hugh. Next up, Chris Sund. So he's got a V7 Mark III, or did have a V7 Mark III, excuse me, did do 15,000 miles on it, and now has a V85 TT. So for Chris, Guzzis just feel special, and in the main they are drop dead gorgeous. So for him it's all about knowing where they come from, how they are built. The pride and the heritage all go towards making them meaningful objects of desire. Perfect phrase. Ciao, Chris. Bellissimo. Right, don't know how to pronounce this one. Kildariman 051. So he's got over 7,000 kilometres on his Centenario, has fitted Mistrals and a few other choice bits and bobs. So basically, he loves the peach of the engine and reckons it enjoys being revved and not being laboured. So far, he's had a couple of issues. Had a bit of a floppy light switch that was easily fixed in the first few miles. And also, it had a bad hiccup and stutter on the throttle, but that was fixed by disconnecting the evaporation cylinder. Overall, though, he says it's an absolute hoot to ride, and the best upgrade he's made was replacing the shocks with the AMC shocks, and also he highly recommends the Bridgestone T32 tyres. Thanks very much. Okay, who have we got now? Robert Cole. Now, Robert somehow manages to borrow his wife's Guzzi Breather 750, and he reckons the bike has lots of character and is a very enjoyable ride. Good job there, Bob. Who's next? To Catch a Snark has got a V7 Mark III Carbon, reckons the bike is just the best. Not the fastest, but it's really easy to ride, lots of fun in the twisties. Best bit though, opening the garage door and falling in love all over again. Yep, been there. Thank you. To Catch a Snark. Goodbye. Okay, who's next? Rumbling Synth Rampo has a V7 850, a Nevada and an 83 Spada. So Rumbling Synth Rampo has done 13k on the V7 with zero problems. This is his 10th Guzzi and just loves the bikes. I think we can tell that. Unfortunately though, I can't find your email, Mr. Rampo. If you can send it again, that would be great. Thanks very much. Okay, Marcel. Now, Marcel has a V85 TT, but did have a V7 before that. The V85 is the perfect bike, great for long and short rides, but Marcel does miss the V7 very much. Why? Because he reckons the V7 has a sense of being an old-tech engine and just feels so good. Thanks, Marcel. Okay, up next, Johnny D 5005 has a V7 Mark III. Like me, he had a bit of a sludgy gearbox with a change of oil. It's now just fine. Thanks, Johnny D. Moving on to Dreddy. So Dreddy has a V7 Centenario with over 5,000 miles on it since May 2021. Absolutely loves it. And a big part of it is purely emotional. And even now, Dreddy just enjoys looking at it. Plus other people seem to like it also, which is something I used to notice all the time when I was washing my bike outside my front door. People would just come up and bug me all the time. It's great. Then finally, we have Brian Robson, who's got a 2016 Stelvio and a 2015 Grisiau. So Brian has got a lot going on in his life at the moment, and he's basically riding like there's no tomorrow and making the most of every day. Now, Brian likes to fiddle with his bikes. He finds them relatively easy to work on, and actually he loves working on them. But what he finds is the bikes provide a lovely riding experience, particularly the 1200cc 4-valve engine. So we'll end there, and just to say to Brian, as for taking care of myself, likewise, and thank you to all the contributors, and you can read the full write-up in the blog. Over to the other Phil. So you joined me in the garage. This is the first time that I've been in the garage since my accident, which was 19th of May, I think it was. So yeah, this is the first time I've seen my remaining motorbikes, the Moto Guzzi and the CRF. Now, I was going to give you my own impressions of the Guzzi, but I think this video has probably gone on way too long anyway, and there's been loads of really good input from everybody in the YouTube community talking about their own Guzzis, and I don't think I can surpass that. But you know, let's have a look at my Moto Guzzi Centenario, which has done 813 miles. Just give me a second. Oh, what a bike. This is the first time I've seen it in nearly 3 months. Oh, look at that. Oh, the Guzzi. How lovely is it? You still probably can't really see it. But, yeah, I love this bike. And just looking at it now, this is genuinely the first time that I've seen it in 3 months. And, you know, despite everything, despite my broken leg, I just love looking at it, and I can't wait to get out on it, even if that means I have to adapt it so it's got highway pegs so I can do something with this dodgy leg. But yeah, the Moto Guzzi V7 850 is an absolutely cracking bike. It is improved on the old V7. I'll still stay with the fact that I think it's probably lost a tiny little bit of character. But overall it's made for a much better motorcycle. And the thing is with the Guzzis, particularly this model, you know, it's a really practical bike. You've got a big tank, you've got shaft drive, you've got 55 miles to the gallon, you've now got a decent turn of speed, to be honest, and you've got good handling. Well, probably very good handling. So, you know, overall, you know, it's not a niche bike, it's not just a retro bike, it's actually a bloody useful bike. And look at it, listen to that tank. I mean, it's gorgeous. I can't wait to get out on this bike. I'm going to get fixed next year, and I'm going to do like 100 million miles on the Moto Guzzi. So if you're thinking about getting one, highly recommended. As all of the other reviewers have said, it's about the emotion. It's not about the specifications. It's how it makes you feel, how it makes you smile in your helmet when you're going out for a ride on a beautiful day. If you want that kind of feeling, this is the bike for you. It's a cracker. Right, that's all from me. Goodbye. So, more importantly and finally, what do you get in the Moto Guzzi toolkit? Well, shall we see? So first of all, you get this, you get that. That's kind of really useful. So I think it might be something to do with suspension, or maybe to sort of like something about arthritic hips, I don't know. But more importantly, you get this. You get a jammy Dodger. Now, you might have been expecting a Garibaldi, and you might have expected me to compare the motorcycle to a biscuit, but I think the jammy Dodger personifies the owners perfectly. So if you're the owner of a Moto Guzzi V7, you are a jammy Dodger. Enjoy. Bye.